Hello. So I didn't manage to upload on Monday, because we had to nip to the neighbouring town to use the bank, because our town has got no bank anymore. HSBC and NatWest have shut down in our area, and so we had to go to the neighbouring town. So it meant I weighed in at 10 stone 3.5. So I'd lost 2.5 pounds, which was good. It put me back down again. But I've been struggling with emotional eating. So everything's all been within its own, all been in Savvy Sins. Everything's kind of, free food, speed food, etc. It's all been slow and well, food optimizing. But I can feel the emotions start to come back through. I'm under a lot of stress at the moment. Good stress, it's all fantastic, and it's really my battery running a little low. It's all really, really good, and it's really positive. But it's my body's struggling with wanting instant stress relief from food. I'm very happy with myself that I haven't gone down the route of the chocolate crisps, biscuits, etc. It's not something. So every time my brain tries to go towards there, I just say, well, just Savvy Sins, and then you go get yourself something if you want for Savvy Sins wise or something. You know what I mean? Just keep it like that, so that if I do, and then often that point I'm like, well, I don't really want Savvy Sins, so I'm like, well, that's all you're getting. So, then you're obviously just after some sort of emotional thing rather than kind of wanting something to eat. So I would say I'm struggling with willpower, but I don't have willpower, so it's not like I never, it's not something I call upon. I think what I'm aware of is that I need to make sure I'm adhering to my kind of stress relief routine in terms of making sure that I'm eating well, drinking well, in terms of making sure I've got plenty of fluids, gentle exercise, making sure that I make plenty of plans so that I don't blow things out of proportion, make sure things are all kept realistic, making sure there's plenty of fruit on hand for snacking purposes, and trying not to be too hard on myself. So I weighed myself again this morning. I'm 10 stone 5.2, so I know realistically I haven't put 2 pounds on in 2 days, but I'm aware that I don't really want to carry on in the same vein as the last 2 days. My trickiness is surrounding bread, I think, the wholemeal bread. So I've made a decision that I'm going to ask, because we've also got the Ryvitas in, and the children like Ryvitas. They're the fake Ryvitas from Lidl's, they're the sort of, fake Ryvitas. And they like having peanut butter and apple on them or something like that, or cheese, or they like having them, and both of them will eat it, and my partner will eat it. So there's a bit of me thinking I might broach the subject of, can we not have bread anymore in the house at all, and just stick to these Ryvitas, because the bread's it's healthy, extra big, etc., and it's a good Savvy Sin. But I think maybe because it's 5 cents a slice, and also you can put quite a lot of peanut butter on the size, I'm thinking if we could just stick to those Ryvitas, if I did want to put peanut butter on, and because I have to think about, when it's all going well and everything's going perfectly well and everything's brilliant, everything's easy to stick to because it's all very good food, very enjoyable, everything's going well. The thing I have to future-proof myself against, or protect myself, is the times when I struggle and I don't care and I'm tired and I'm grumpy and I'm really stressed and I'm really worried and I'm scared, and I have to protect myself against those times. So if everything's going perfectly fine, then I'm not going to be tempted to comfort eat. But if things going really badly, then I'm going to be tempted. So I'm thinking if I can find a way of just, maybe just take that bread out. Or maybe even if we do have some, have it in the freezer so that we can always microwave it if we want it. But I'm thinking I'll broach the subject and see if we can just drop the bread part and have the Ryvitas, because everybody seems to like them. It's not really a big deal. And they also have them for breakfast, so they'll have peanut butter and apple on there for breakfast. Obviously, they sometimes have their raisin wheats or porridge, etc. But it's quite a good. So, and I will eat those, and I do quite like them with a bit of peanut butter and apple on them. But the peanut butter then is far less sins because you don't fit so much on there, and also the fruit to bread ratio is far higher, or cracker in that regard, because you can have a large amount of fruit on the top of the cracker. And with the bread and stuff, you've got 5 sins of bread, whereas the fake Ryvita is only 2 sins. So it's already quite a reduction. You can have 2 of them, and you're already the same amount as you'd probably have if you had 1 piece of bread with peanut butter on. You could have 2 of those. And so I feel like at that point you've had like double fruit that you would have had anyway. I don't eat them without a speed food involved, because I just make sure every time I have anything like Savvy Sins or anything, I'm always just making sure I have a piece of fruit with it as well, because it food optimizes it, doesn't it? You're hungry, then make sure you got some speed or free food with it. It's just one of them habits that I've built up. So I think maybe that's the next step for me, just to see what that's like, because realistically, with the job I do and the events I'm involved in, there is now going to be a large amount of stress for a long time, and either I quit everything and don't do anything and drop out of everything, or I figure out how to deal with the stress in a responsible and sensible way. And there's plenty of ways, and I've already figured out quite a fair few, but I feel like maybe I just got to up my game with my stress reduction. This is all quite new territory for me. I mean, I've been involved in stuff before, so it's not super new territory, but it is a little section more than I'm used to. So I think if I can just help myself out a little bit, and I think it's not necessarily a matter of motivation, because my motivation is always there, in terms of my sort of like, it's almost like anti-motivation, or like a way of, it's not necessarily that I'm motivated to stay slim, but I'm very motivated to not put the weight back on. I don't want to, it's not like I'm sort of, I think I'm used to living in this body now, and if I approach to the top of target, it very much, I mean, that's the benefit of weighing in at Slimming World. You can see, like, okay, that's the top of target, then that's enough now, stop it, get back to your routine and such. And make sure you just watch out if anything's creeping in, because I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up my life that I have now, and that involves kind of being the size I am, because I know people treat me differently because they think I'm more confident, because I'm more capable, they think I'm more able. And I know I get treated differently now I'm slimmer than when I was big, and even people who've not met me when I was big, and they think I'm slim now, they just presume I have my life together, and I don't want to give that up. I don't want to be seen as somebody who is overweight now. I don't want that. I don't want that ever again. Now I can see the difference between then where I was there and how I am now. I do not want to live back in that body. So that's my highest motivation. I just so it's like I don't know what the word is exactly, but it's the other, from coming from the other way, rather than something I want, something I do not want at all. I do not want to go back. So I think it just keeping settled in. I'd made a promise to myself I'm just going to because there's a bit of me thinks, well, I probably could just do with losing more weight, but I know that that'll always be in my head. I just know I lose weight, and that might happen again. But right now, I know that I'm like, I shifted my target down because I got down to 10 stone 3, so I knew I'd already got to that patch, and I removed the goalposts, as it were. So I know I'm already I'm in a 10 stone as my bottom end, and 10 stone 6 is my top end. And right now, through the stress I'm going through at the moment, and all the struggles and all of the sort of brain changes that's happening, I know that all I need to do is just stay in that target. That's all my efforts are going to go to, just staying in that target. And if I do want to eventually lose, because it's my slight little my fupa, as they say, the fat upper pubic area, I've still got a little one of them. And if I ever want to wear any trousers that are a bit more structured, I can't really, because my little pouch I've got at the top of my like the bottom of my tummy part is still bulgy, so it just bulges out. My butt's still big, and my thighs are still big, and they're not huge by any means. I'm sat in a pair of size 12 trousers today, so they're not huge, but they're not small enough to fit into a neat pair of structured trousers, and I would like to fit into one of those one day. But I do know that probably that will only happen if I lose another half stone. Right now, I am not in a position where I want to put that sort of pressure on myself, so I'm just not doing that right now. It might happen, and if it does, then I'll move my target down to 10 stone again. If it happened, because like ages ago it just happened randomly, I lost 4 pounds because I had an illness and such, so I'm like, right, quick, move my target while I'm there. So that might happen again, and then when it does, I'll move it quickly. But yeah, right now I'm just gonna work my way through what I'm doing now and stay where I am, because I'm lucky to be where I am, and I'm going to take advantage of that and really work hard to make sure I stay where I am. I'm very comfortable with just carrying on with Savvy Sins. Someone at group the other day, yesterday, they offered me to try a bit of their choc shop, because they'd got it on their little porridge stuff, and they'd got their overnight oat type of things. And so I was like, okay, I'll try a little bit. And it was because I'd never had it before, and it was like a real dark chocolate taste. And I was like saying to everyone, I don't think I'll it's nice, but I think I'll just end up just pouring it into my mouth. And everyone was like, oh really, you really don't do that? I was like, yep. I really would. And it's quite funny really to think that I hadn't really I'd been living in this environment now that I've got where I do free food, speed food, Savvy Sins, and just stick to that. Don't bother messing about with anything else. They'd almost forgotten the reason why I do Savvy Sins, because I just don't interact with that stuff anymore. So you just presume that's just what you do and that's how you live your life. And I'd forgotten that in reality, the reason why I do that, I mean, not really forgotten, but there's a bit of you forget really that the reason why you're doing the Savvy Sin thing and the free food and the speed food thing is because you are very likely, if you interact with something like that, it just goes straight in your mouth. So just sort of keeping it all in perspective and recognising. And I don't react well to threats, in terms of if I threaten myself, or I'm mean to myself, or I'm unkind to myself, or I say, you're stupid for overdoing things or whatever. I don't react well to that. That doesn't work for me. So what I have to do is figure out another little plan. I think that's what I'm going to do, the bit where I can just drop the bread out, see if that's worked there, just to give me another bit of help. There's always a way, always something else you can do, always something else you can change, something else, little tiny bits you can move around just to kind of tinker with it, just to see if it makes it a bit easier either way. And let's keep going at it. So last week, this Monday, I just weighed in 10 stone 3.5. I do not want to be, I'm going to say this morning I weighed 10 stone 5. I was like, so I need to watch it, because I don't mind putting a pound or so on, because I've had 2 days of over the